commemorating India's 70th anniversary as a democratic republic and the establishment of its Supreme Court, which came into being on 28 January 1950, we aptly introduce our January book of the month, Courts of India, Past to Present, which may well be the first multidisciplinary coffee table book of its kind since India's independence, dealing with the evolution of law, art history, and humanities combined, dating back to the dawn of the Indian civilization. Written with humility and beautifully illustrated with colorful glimpses of rare artifacts, iconic personalities, and landmarks throughout, the book describes one of the most concrete steps taken to lay the foundation of modern independent India, the codification and adoption of its laws via the Constitution, as but a piece of calligraphy in its 5,000-year-old history. As the readers will discover, this was a rich history of layered sovereignty, of rulers and subjects who encountered and evolved with each other during mass migrations and invasions, across boundaries and centuries of time, integrating humanitarian values along the way. Rightly pointed out by its authors, the book is but a humble initiative to cultivate awareness of the Indian judicial heritage and society at large, its diverse ideologies, philosophies, and religious beliefs from the ancient, medieval, and colonial past that form the backbone of the justice dispensation machinery in India today. Our next book of the month, titled SIDDHARTHA, this 20th century Western novel set in India, which ignited cult following for decades. What is truly remarkable, it was written by a German author after his only trip to colonial India in 1911. Nobel Prize winner Hermann Hesse's life path is a blessed one, rising from the ranks of a humble bookseller to becoming one of the best-known literary figures in the world, only to show the way of the saints few knew. The protagonist in this book is projected as a solitary man living in the times of the great Mahatma Buddha, when knowledge-seeking was a serious pursuit for some. The character of Siddhartha is headstrong and deeply analytical, soul-searching but a rebel at heart. On his own volition, he sets out to understand creation and his inner identity full-time, discovering in his austere, selfless state some sure answers. Reading this Penguin Classic version of the vintage book was effortless and enlightening. One does come out feeling on top of their existential angst. There are some great life lessons on offer. Take away what you can. Recommended book titled The Secret by author Rhonda Byrne. It puts you on a new page in life. If only all of us could be reading the 10th anniversary edition at the same time, for it says your thoughts add powerfully to the creation of the world. The book is deeply valiant analysis of the universe we are in and the laws of attraction. It finds you when you're ready to discern and learn. There is plenty of emotional truth for the believers and healing as the secrets are revealed, drawn from various life experiences. Positivity and gratitude are a natural outcome of reading this book, and we are grateful to the author for giving humanity a gift that will keep on giving. For April 2019, we enjoyed reading the book titled The Snow Leopard by the late award-winning author Peter Matthiessen. It's a lovely piece of literature to take along in wilderness travels. In the footsteps of Westerner James Hilton, who gave the world its most legendary Himalayan spiritual fiction, this book is a reminder of man's constant quest for spirituality from whichever part of the world or decade he be, inspired once again by mountaintop expeditions, monks, and nature. The writer pens down his heroic journey to the remote high altitudes of Nepal, accompanying his famous biologist friend George Scheller on a mission to document the obscure Himalayan blue sheep, and possibly catch a glimpse of the elusive snow leopard. An epic account of true nature of things, of man, beast, and mountains, of creation, of Oriental art and culture, of ancient religions and Eastern philosophy all in one from the early 1970s. This is a profound read for the adventurer and the pilgrim alike. We are really excited to review the book titled Where Three Empires Meet, written by the late English author and explorer E.F. Knight. In his book, the author vividly describes his intrepid journey in 1891 to colonial India, to the remote high mountain valleys of Kashmir, Tibet, Gilgit, and regions beyond, where British, Russian, and Chinese empires brushed each other. Culturally rich in details and a narrative of the author's own extensive experiences based in Kashmir, the travelogue gives a fascinating account of the local life, art and architecture, customs, religions, and the prevailing Dogra rule of His Highness Maharaja Pratap Singh. To say it is a historically important book dotted with rare photographs is an understatement, and rare is the character of the man who was tenacious enough to complete his year-long expedition in the far-famed Himalayan territories unresistingly. We reviewed two books with the same title, Shambhala, written by two different great authors, Victoria LePage and the late Nicholas Roerich. Victoria LePage's version, which was published in 1996, profoundly explores the origins of the age-old legend of Shambhala and related world myths, enhancing one's fascination for Eastern religion and philosophy. She attempts to describe some unusual psychoenergy forms and their perceived geographic concentrations in the world and throughout history. We admire her investigative spirit and appreciate some great thought-provoking messages. Nicholas Roerich's book Shambhala is a candid travelogue of his esoteric journey to the Himalayas, Central Asia, and Tibet in the 1930s, which we believe later served as inspiration to Victoria LePage's work. He throws light on many legends of the mountains, and while elusive about the actual location, he does recollect some paranormal activity he was eyewitness to, which he felt was connected to the great legend. There is some genuinely good description about the life, ancient art and culture, fables and tribes of the remote lands he visited. The stunning Himalayan landscapes he came across inspired his great works of art and humanized his journey more. Reading both books together, though intense, bound us to a higher meditative and inquisitive state, an uplifting experience to say the least. Our next recommended read is titled The Maharajahs by John Lord. It was first published in 1971. A delightful and enlightening read about some of the world's richest, most ostentatious, and most royal that ever walked the earth. Packed with a punch and a great sense of humor, it contains partial history with some of the juiciest insights into the lives of some of the most famous ruling families of India, their magnificence and scandals included. It may also be viewed as a guide to understanding India's journey to becoming its own master from British-controlled India and princely India, the latter of which, lest we forget, had some brilliant role models, sacrificed their glory and armies, and once ruled 1/3 of the subcontinent between 1857 and 1947. The first edition of this book is a nice have for the home library. Recommended good read is the book titled The Heart of ARYAVARTA, authored by Lawrence Dundas, the former Earl of Ronaldshay, and the book was originally published in 1925. The author spent much of his political career in British India, having served as the former Governor-General of Bengal, among other positions held at around the time of writing of the book. That gave him unique insights into India's developing aspirations, its political and cultural transformation toward forging its own identity and freedom. He was unusually sympathetic for a high-ranking officer toward India's unrest to attain more self-rule. With a scholarly bent of mind, he investigates the Indian psychology and in the process acquaints the reader with much more than politics. He explores interesting aspects of India's own rich past, its religion and diversity, churning out some outstanding commentary on Hinduism and the things at the heart of a complex Hindu society. Next recommended book was titled The Treasure of KAFUR, authored by Aroon Raman. It was an enjoyable thriller, a historical fiction centered in pre-Mughal and Mughal era. As the title suggests, it certainly is about a long-lost fabled treasure, complete with suspense, plunder, war, and the victory of good over evil. The story was very cleverly written and exciting, and for all the treasure hunters, history buffs, and Indiana Jones out there, this one's bound to tickle your imagination. Next recommended book was the intriguing The Many Lives of a Rajput Queen by author Ramya Sreenivasan, built around a famous legendary story of an early medieval era Indian queen of Rajputana, which has been oft-told and retold for centuries. It is worth repeating here again, given its national and regional importance, a story of great love, sacrifice, and honor. We thoroughly appreciated a bold attempt by the author to study the sacred legend of Rani Padmini of Chittor and explain its origins in depth, a phenomena that inspired many a renowned historian, saintly poet, warrior, courtier, and nationalist alike all through the ages, reaching a new pinnacle in the 21st century. We learn much of cultural history, how history has been made and remade, and the conditions and communities responsible for that. The book is analytical, well-structured, and leaves room for further historical investigation. Let us hope this extraordinary tale of heroism by both man and woman, king and queen, soldier and chief, and the bards and scribes who dare to interpret and repeatedly restore the legend continues to captivate our hearts and minds henceforth. And now we arrive at the last book of the year for December 2019, was IKIGAI by Hector Garcia and Francesc Miralles. This book couldn't have come at a better time. Its simple yet profound life messages are a gift to humanity, highlighting the socio-cultural values and lifestyles of selected communities in Japan. It makes a good guide to achieving mind wellness and discovering your life's purpose. In other words, your Ikigai. Packed with ancient wisdom galore and practical lessons to fine-tuning your life force, one must be exposed to this book at least once in their life. Thank you for watching this presentation. We hope you enjoyed. Namaste.